Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. The news is live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra. In Kumasi, we are on Love 99.5 FM, over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. We are on A1 Radio in Bolga, Tanga, Kekeli Radio in Ho. We are on Jata FM in Karaga and Radio Kwando in Kwando. We are live on Twitter Spaces. We are on Facebook and myjoyonline.com. The Midday News is sponsored by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrosol is always a delightful experience. Also brought to you by Duroplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC and HDPE pipes and water tank. Where Duraplus goes, water flows. This afternoon, the Kolebu Teaching Hospital says the cost of dialysis treatment is bound to go up despite backtracking on 100% increase amid public outcry.
We buy these items in use, so definitely, even if you just look at the exchange rate alone, that would necessitate some adjustment in the prices.
We'll get to hear from the CEO who explains the next changes will factor in the burdens of patients. Also, attempt to collapse NIB or merge it with ADB is an attempt by government to sell the banks to cronies and friends of government officials. Minority allege as they announce the opposition to the plan.
This is the last step towards passing through the back door to acquire NIB and ADB for themselves in a state capture.
We have details as the group say they have a plan that can save the NIB from collapse. We'll also take you live to the Accra-Tema motorway where two ride-hailing drivers, Emmanuel and Kojo, have sacrificed their daily work to patch potholes on the stretch.
As we are Uber drivers and boat drivers, and we always use the road, and the road was stretching our tires. We wake up this morning, we said, no, let's go and construct the road.
We just help the nation that the traffic should move to help everybody.
But the Tema Police Patrol team stormed the motorway and drove away the two volunteers after 6 hours of work. I'll give you details of that. We have sports.
The 2023 GFA election is in limbo as court adjourns case to a new date.
We have politics also, where the independent presidential aspirant Alan Kojo maintained battle ready to fight for Ashanti votes in the 2024 general elections.
As an independent candidate, my wish will be that Ashanti region will put their weight behind me. I've always been very popular in Ashanti region.
Plus, and he takes on NPP National Chairman Stephen Ntim, describing his posture as disingenuous, was just suggesting he attempted to persuade him from resigning from the party. We also hear from Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. He's been reacting.
Let us keep focused as a party. Don't be distracted by events. Stay focused on the main task, which is to break the earth.
We have that and more in this afternoon's edition of the Midday News. I am Emefa Apawu, and this is your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Please do stay on for details. Many thanks for your company. Let's start off from Ghana's foremost teaching hospital, that's Kolebu. Now, they say the decision to suspend a planned price increment doesn't imply a halt in price changes. Clarifying the concerns surrounding the 100% increase that was later suspended, CEO of the hospital, Dr. Opoku-Ware Ampoma, blamed the head of the Renal Dialysis Center for going ahead of himself to push up prices without the approval of management or parliament. However, Dr. Ampoma insists that prices will be reviewed upwards, putting into consideration the burdens of patients. He spoke on the Super Morning Show.
In the long term, definitely there has to be some adjustment in the prices because we buy these items in use. So definitely, even if you just look at the exchange rate alone, that would necessitate some adjustment in the in the prices. So that is why we go to a place where we critically review whatever justification is being given for an increase, because we know the burden on renal patients. So we do not just want to pass on any arbitrary cost. In fact, it's happened before where management has decided to absorb certain costs on their behalf. And that's why we continue to engage, other stakeholders, philanthropists to come in and help to subsidize the cost of treatment. So yes, definitely there will be a review, but not to that tune. So that's why there has to be a clear justification of the proposal, because we have to appear before Parliament, and Parliament is also going to scrutinize what the proposals are being made to make sure that the people are not burdened unnecessarily.
That's the CEO of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Opoku-Ware Ampoma. On the other hand, Kwame Sapon Siedu believes scrapping taxes on critical medication and equipment is a solution to the price burden on patients and the hospitals.
the bigger conversation we should be having is why are the taxes there in the first place? Why should they then import and go for a waiver? What sort of reverse thinking is this? You tax the thing, and then the people have to go and apply for a waiver. So what about those providing to the general public, the facilities he was saying that they should go and use? This is why I say that we should decouple leadership from our politics. And I would continue saying that because he said a lot, but very little. He's acknowledged that the taxes are there. He says that they have to go for a waiver. So all the people from parliament, from cabinet, who put the taxes there are the ones I'm asking my questions to. Why do they have to tax it and then you go for a waiver? Is that not robbing Peter to pay Paul?
That's a CDD fellow, Kwame Sapong-Esiedu. They're also speaking on the Super Morning Show. Meanwhile, a senior lecturer at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology School of Medicine and Dentistry, Dr. Elliot Cranton-Tano, wants more funds to be made available for tackling non-communicable diseases. He was speaking at the 10th Biannual Scientific Conference of the College of Health Sciences at the KNUST.
Now, it is the non-communicable diseases that are killing us more, and then the communicable diseases are what? Reducing, just like I just showed you. Why is this so? Focus has always been on there's a lot of money for malaria, there's a lot of money for HIV. Of course, COVID drops and there's plenty money for, because policymakers and governments know that, hey, when people are getting the COVID, it's communicable, so we'll get it. But we probably don't look at non-communicable that way. You have done your something, you have gotten your diabetes or your hypertension or your kidney disease. We can blame you for it. And of course, if you have it, it doesn't affect me. Then the point is that unfortunately, they probably don't worry so much about it until a relative or a family member or something gets, let's say, chronic kidney disease. And then we know that here in this country, when you get chronic kidney disease and you need dialysis and you don't have money, I'm sorry to say, you are going to die. Even if you have money, then it becomes tough because of course, the human resource and all that you have to spend coming to the hospital for the regular checkup. So it is indeed very important that we focus and make sure that policymakers think about the non-communicable disease more.
That's Dr. Elliot Cranton-Tano. He's a senior lecturer at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. I'll take you to the Wild West District Hospital. I'm sure you recall that particular report that Joy News brought to you about how surgeries are performed using torchlights. Well, help is here thanks to you and Edward Boachi Trust Fund. They've purchased 2 new theatre lamps for them. Our Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam has been there. Here's his report.
There are times you would have to ask 2 or 3 people to help with their life.
The cry for help from the medical superintendent of the Wild West District Hospital, Dr. Benjamin Amiyuri, on March 5, painting a mental picture of the challenges they go through using mobile phone torchlight for medical surgeries as a result of a malfunctioning theater lamp. When Joy FM broke the story on the Super Morning Show, the maze of listeners listening to the show cranked. Many of them pledged to contribute monies to buy the theater lamp for the hospital, which was valued around 35,000 Ghana cedis. In the middle of the program came the Edward Boachi Trust Fund, and they pledged to pay the full amount of the 35,000 Ghana cedis. A pledge they later redeemed in less than a week, and the money paid direct to the accounts of the Wild West District Hospital. Joseph Adongo is the administrator of the hospital.
So what we have here, there are actually 2 lamps, one rechargeable and then this one non-rechargeable. Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam, Wachao.
From Wichao, let me take you to Parliament now, where the minority there say it's strongly opposed to plans by government to either collapse the National Investment Bank, that's the NIB, or merge it with the Agricultural Development Bank, ADB. Government has been working over the years to merge ADB and NIB to create the National Development Bank due to the struggles of both banks. Addressing journalists in Parliament, minority spokesperson on finance, Isaac Adongo, alleged that his plan is only a smokescreen to sell off the 2 banks after its merger to cronies of the government as part of state capture efforts.
This is the last step towards passing through the back door to acquire NIB and ADB for themselves in a state capture. And I'll explain to you why, of all the banks, they chose ADB. ADB is listed on the stock exchange market, isn't it? 64% of the shares are with the Bank of Ghana. So when they met them, the English will start. Oh, but Bank of Ghana, you are a regulator, you want to be a player at the same time. Why don't you divest your interests in the banking sector so that you focus on regulation? Then before you realize, somebody will appear as a strategic investor. It is they themselves. They will not take NIB and ADB from us. That is all. Suddenly the bank that has been struggling will find a strategic investor. And if you know Bank of Ghana, how you are conflicted, how can you own a bank and at the same time you are regulating a bank? Please give your shares to somebody so that you can focus on regulation. And they will bring the investor, call him a strategic investor, 64% goal. If we are not even lucky, 21% the government is holding that, let's add it. Already we are broke. Ladies and gentlemen, open your eyes. When we talk, you think we are doing politics. You remember Ejapa royalties?
Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante sat through that press conference, joins us live. Kweku, let's talk about the minorities' plan that they put out to save NIB. Tell us more.
Well, they say that they have a two-pronged approach to save NIB and ADB as well. They say that first, government must convert debt owed aid by NIB to equity that will balance the books of NIB. And secondly, the debt owed contractors by government who took loans from NIB must be immediately paid so that these contractors can in turn pay NIB.
Government says it doesn't have money to capitalize the bank, but it has given 500 million debt bond to NIB. It has given 800 million debt to NIB. The two give you how much? 1.3 billion. It is your money. You own the bank. The money is already sitting there. Commit to say that that is my contribution towards recapitalization, so that we issue shares for you and move the money to equity. Ken Oforeta and his people took the NIB necessary shares, the 24% shares, the most valuable item on their balance sheet. They took it to the finance ministry. I just want to hope that that thing has not walked into somebody's house. So now that we have given you shares for the 500 million, do you have a business holding our necessary shares? Bring it back. Contractors that NIB gave money to do government projects. To date, Ken is not paying the monies. And as a result of that, NIB has impaired 1 billion of its loan books, resulting from Ken Oforiatta refusing to pay. Now you are saying NIB is weak. You are the Ashanti who say,
Well, Kweku, you've been interacting with the minority leader also, Kesela Toforson. Well, he earlier also talked about the potential job losses this plan of government can create.
Yes, according to Dr. Kesela Toforson, up to 4,000 households could be impacted if government goes ahead with this plan, because about 800 staff of NIB will lose their jobs, their dependents will now not get their source of sustenance. And so they say that the solution is there. Government just has to commit to fixing the problems faced by NIB and abort this plan to sell it off or to merge it with ADB.
Well, that's my colleague Kweku Asante there reporting from Parliament. There's more he'll bring up later, also on myjoyonline.com. Now let's hit the Accra-Tema motorway and the never-ending gridlock on the Accra-bound stretch of the motorway caused by numerous potholes has compelled two ride-hailing drivers, Kojo Asante and Emmanuel Boateng, to forfeit their daily earnings by volunteering to patch the numerous potholes on the expressway at Lakbakbla Bridge near the Accra Abattoir. Well, we'll hear from the two volunteers to understand what actually motivated them to do this. But first, here are some motorists sharing their frustrations with Joy News.
Using this road is costing us a lot. Some of us, we use a small cars. The cars are not, they don't have this thing. So if the pressure come on us because of the potholes, it's affected us a lot.
One thing that makes me angry again is that when we are managing the road and we are passing, then they are in their convoy. They want us to give them way to pass. Whilst you people know that you are the ones that have to do the road for us.
Now let's hear the motivation of Kojo Asante and Emmanuel Boateng.
Us, we are Uber drivers and boat drivers, and we always use the road. And the road was scratching our tires. That we have a puncture, all those, and we are thinking about it. How are we going to make it? But the plan is that we wake up this morning. We said, no, my friend, let's go and construct the road. The potholes, everything. There's a sign on the roadside. Let's start taking the sign and cross the potholes on the road so that it can help all of us.
We started to fill the potholes. Now we see that now the traffic is moving. It's moving. So now like what you have did, maybe people do appreciate us. And today our sales, we don't think about sales for the nation. we think about the nation. So today says whether we get it or we don't get it, that one is not concern us. You see, so we just help the nation that the traffic should move and it should move to help everybody.
Well, my colleague Carlos Caloni has been on this beat all day for us, joins us on the line. It appears the Tema Police Patrol Unit were not happy about the work being done by Kwiku and then also Emmanuel. What really was the concern of the police?
All right, so we tried speaking to the police to try to understand exactly why they were asking the volunteers to leave. They would not speak to us. But as we speak, traffic has eased a bit, but the two volunteers, Emmanuel and Kojo, they have angrily left the site a while ago after the police asked them to leave. And this is what they've been telling me.
We are here and we see there's a high team patrol. They are on the way. They just came here that we are tired, so we should move from here and go. And we told them we are not yet tired. Yes, we are helping the nation. But how will come and tell us that we should move here and go? So we don't understand that we are helping to fill the potholes and just came that we are tired, and meanwhile too, we are not tired.
We are disappointed with the police. The civilians, they need to help us. They need to take care of us. For what is going on wrong, we have to straighten it. They said no, we should go, so we are disappointed. So we are going home.
Well, Carlos, as they go home, we know that on Monday there will be major works on the motorway, though. But what's the latest on what you can report from the motorway?
All right, so after Emmanuel and Kojo left, the police stayed for about some 20 minutes. And they also drove off. So as it stands now, the work they have done is actually helping free flow of traffic on that particular stretch.
So that's my colleague Carlos Caloni there reporting from the Accra Tema motorway. Back in studios, the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice is accusing the Ghana Police Service of weaponizing the Public Order Act to stifle the rights of citizens to hold protests and demonstrations. In a strongly worded letter to the IGP, Commissioner of Strat Joseph Whittal argued that the right to protest is so fundamental, the police service cannot toy with it. The letter comes on the back of the arrest of some 49 protesters by the police during the Occupy Julobi House protest. My colleague Blessed Suga has been taking a look at that letter and joins us in studio. Blessed, let's talk about the Shrat's position that the police are weaponizing the Public Order Act to suppress the right to protest.
Indeed, and the Commission in a statement indicates that it learns that the leadership of the protesters had given notice to the police several days back to facilitate discussions on the date, possible routes to use in order to ensure a problem-free protest. Now, the basis for the police action, as the Commission understands, was that it had served some court processes on the lawyers of the leadership of the protesters and therefore considered any attempt to undertake the protest as unlawful, hence giving rise to arrest and detention of the protesters. The Commission sadly notes that the police response over the years against protesters have been disproportionate and leaves much to be desired, as they're indicating in the statement.
Well, Shraj also have a number of recommendations to the police on the back of these concerns.
The first is to the Ministry of the Interior, Inspector General of Police, and also the National Security. The caution is that they must be mindful of Ghana's human rights obligations towards its citizens. The appreciation of these obligations will then inform decisions in striking some good balance between all of the legitimate issues that we've taken a look at, as well as the competing interests. There's also the need, as the Commission is indicating, for the development of guidelines where none exists for managing protests which incorporates human rights standards for the use by law enforcement agencies, and also the need for, in the case that we have a deadlock, there should be some sort of a resort to the court injunction as the optimum way of dealing with the issue. Ultimately, the police and other law enforcement agencies and the officials are being encouraged to build some level of rapport between protesters and citizens and not treat them necessarily as troublemakers, as the statement is indicating.
Thank you very much, Blessed. He also concludes by talking about how law enforcement agencies in all their considerations must facilitate the realization of the freedom of assembly and other protected rights unless restrictions are reasonably necessary in a democratic society. We can hear from Member of Parliament for Wa West, Peter Lanchini Tobu, who is also a retired police officer and wants the Ghana police to adopt a more friendly approach to demonstrators.
And at the United Nations level, we have what we call globally adopted directive use of force. And the global adopted directive use of force is a global SOP for all formed police units around the world. And the Ghana Police Service is not an exception. So when you find demonstrators and the IGP decides that it is not the formed police unit or any police commander decides that it is not the formed police unit but it's any other police unit that will go there, we can only have chaos. And if you have also the formed police unit going there, the formed police unit are supposed to go there as professionals to guarantee or ensure that these citizens enjoy their constitutional rights. The police are supposed to provide security for us to enjoy our rights. That is basically what they're supposed to do. And if you think, the law provides, if you think that this right that they're going to enjoy is going to affect the right of other people and can create issues of national security, of course you go to the court. And you cannot also go to the court with ex parte motion. If you are going to the court, you file a motion on notice and let the demonstrators be present to argue their case out. Whatever the court says, that becomes law. And the police, if they are supposed to provide security for the demonstrators, so will it be. I don't see why the altercation, I don't see why the antagonism, as if the police is always against people who want to enjoy their rights. That is not right.
Wow, West MP Peter Lanchini will be there, taking us on a quick break here on the Midday News, proudly brought to you by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrosol is always a delightful experience, and also brought to you by Duraplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC and HDPE pipes and water tank. Where Duraplus goes, water flows. This afternoon, the Kolebu Teaching Hospital says the cost of dialysis treatment is bound to go up despite backtracking on a 100% increase amid public outcry. We've also been hearing from the minority saying that the attempt to collapse NIB or merge it with ADB is an attempt by government to sell the banks to cronies and friends of government officials. We return with sport, and then independent presidential aspirant Alan Kojo-Tremanting battle ready to fight for Ashanti votes in the 2024 general elections.
As an independent candidate, my wish will be that Ashanti region will put their weight behind me. I've always been very popular in Ashanti region.
He also takes on the NPP National Chairman Stephen Intim, describing his posture as disingenuous. Also hear from Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's reaction.
Let us keep focused as a party. Don't be distracted by events. Stay focused on the main task, which is to break the earth.
When budgets are tight and money difficult to come by, you want to be sure you get the best value for your money. These are not times to be spending money fixing expensive engine problems because of cheap fuel and lubricants. Drive to a Petrosol station today and buy your quality fuel and lubricants, and rest assured of fuel that lasts long and lubricants that prevent expensive engine problems. Hear the sound. Petrosol, clean fuel in full quantity.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Midday News. Time for
Emefa.
sports.
Where have you been?
I'll tell you all about it.
Anyway,
Good
okay,
to
let
see
me just
you.
do my sports. Me too. And another delay as far as the GFA election is concerned. This follows the adjournment of the case to the 12th of October by the Accra High Court. And what this means is that the FA's 5th October date set for the election will have to be postponed until the matter is resolved. King Faisal secured an injunction against the election, demanding that associated groups of the FA, like the Regional Football Associations and the Executive Council, elect their representatives before the presidential election. That's your sports.
Thank you very much, Mubarak. Let's do politics now. In the governing New Patriotic Party's secret electoral vote in the Ashanti region is under threat with the addition of independent presidential aspirant Alan Kojo-Tremanting. The NPP, we know, since 1992 banked on votes from the region to win national elections. But the emergence of Alan, who is also an indigent, presents a new dynamic that threatens to jeopardize the party's agenda to break the 8. The advantage for the NDC is that a reduction in votes for the NPP makes their chances of winning the next elections brighter. Alan Tremanting tells my colleague Evans Mensah he's set and ready to fight for every vote in the Ashanti region.
You're saying, Kojo says I should stay to fight what? I mean, what is it to fight about?
I mean, it clearly it's too late for any conversation to happen about Alan.
Also, Evans, you like to get back into the game.
I mean, we cannot end as we end without talking about your home region, Ashanti region, which many say is going to be very important for you in particular going into the elections? Now that you're standing by yourself, is that overstated when people hear and say Ashanti is going to be very important for you?
Well, it's reality. I mean, the Ashanti region has been the backbone of our party, is our stronghold, So it's going to be important for the NPP as a party getting into the general election. As an independent candidate, my wish will be that Ashanti region will put their weight behind me. I've always been very popular in Ashanti region, in Central region, and many parts of the country.
Well, he's also been taking on the NPP national chairman, Stephen Ntim, describing his posture as disingenuous for suggesting that he attempted to persuade him from resigning from the party.
I don't like what the national chairman has put out. It's disingenuous. It's very unfortunate. He's a very good friend of mine. You are chairman of a party. You come to me to ask about whether I have any challenges with what is going on. I scope for you all the things that I believe have been going wrong. I've had personal conversations with him before, and he's aware of that. So he comes, I tell him that, look, I've complained about these things. You have not done anything about them.
Well, that's Alan Kojo Chemanting there speaking to my colleague Evans Mensah. The full interview is available on myjoyonline.com, also on all our social media platforms. You definitely want to catch that interview. Well, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, is also calling on the NPP to remain focused on the agenda to break the 8. He spoke during a visit to some registration centres in the Eastern Regional Capital, Kofodia.
I'm happy that things are going well. I'm more even happy that all of you have come out here to meet me. It tells me that the party is well and alive. One of the things that we have to do as a party is to know that we are going to win the 2024. You should not have any doubt in your mind. We will have to work hard. No doubt. We will have to work hard. But it is possible. We will break the 8. It is possible. We are going to break the 8. And we need all of your effort for us to break the 8. Let us keep focused as a party. Don't be distracted by events. Stay focused on the main task, which is to break the 8.
That's Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Let's focus on our stories of hope today. And when lack of hospital bed resulted in a delayed surgery for Rachel and Peter's son, causing permanent disability, they channeled their situation into an avenue to help other parents and children. Their son, who is unable to walk now, is also part of the move. Here's their story by Hannah Odame.
I prayed that one day I will walk.
9-year-old Cornelius Kwabena Adom, who loves to sing and play the keyboard, was born with a deformity. His parents got a shock when they were told their son may not be able to walk if a repair surgery was not done on him in the first 14 days of his life.
And they were telling us the surgery, sometimes after doing it, it's either to lose the lower limbs and other things, but we pray.
Getting a bed at the Kolibu Teaching Hospital became the bane. After waiting for a month, it was too late, and Cornelius was left with no luxury of walking.
Before he would even be born, the father named him Cornelius. So I even speak with Cornelius. No matter whatever you are going through, you will survive.
After experiencing the dire circumstances under which parents with such situations face, Rahel and her husband founded the Challenged Children Foundation to aid children and parents alike.
We have the cerebral palsy, the autism, then to those who cannot walk.
So how are you taking care of all of them?
And the family have to cut down our expenses.
It's only the women who bring the children to physio. I'm telling the men that they don't have to abandon the children.
I did not know why I could not walk, so I decided to encourage myself by playing the keyboard, and I also decided to encourage others that if I can make it, all of the disability people can make it. Patience of this.
Hannah Odame for Joy News.
Stories of hope. Now, the Northeast Regional Minister Yidana Zakaria has condemned the murder of a 60-year-old woman over a witchcraft accusation at Janga, near Walewale in the West Mamprusi municipality. The woman, Musa Azaratu Pona, was dragged out of her room and shot dead by two brothers after they accused her of being a witch and responsible for the sickness of their senior father. The minister described the killing of the woman as inhumane and charged the security service to ensure the perpetrators are brought to book. Correspondent Ilyasu Tanko reports.
According to her children, the two brothers had earlier on Saturday stormed the house to accuse their mother of being behind the sickness of their senior father, who they had sent to a nearby village for treatment, and warned to kill her if their father succumbed to the sickness. The children added that on Sunday evening, the two brothers, armed with a gun, returned on a motorbike to attack their mother by dragging her out of her room to the entrance of the house, where they opened fire on her. At the hospital, the children earlier denied the accusations against her and demanded swift justice for her killing.
So I'm pleading with the security agencies to arrest them. And anybody who sees them, they should alert all the security agents so that they will come after them.
Because the pain, I can't even explain the pain, how it is.
Musa Azara Tupuana is the second elderly woman to have been killed in the region over witchcraft accusations, despite the passage of the anti-witchcraft bill 2 months ago. This latest incident occurred in the constituency of the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Hajia Laribazuiretu Abudu. The regional minister has condemned the incident as unacceptable and inhumane.
It doesn't lie with anybody to take the life of another person on suspicion of witchcraft. If we think that something has happened, we have chiefs in the communities. We can approach them and talk to them. But to take the law into our own hands, every time witchcraft is about accusation of women killing and maiming them, is condemnable. And I don't encourage it. And I want to call on the security agencies to make sure that those involved, those behind these acts, are apprehended and dealt with according to the laws of this country.
And that's it for today's edition of the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Hiking kidney dialysis costs just a proposal, but it may go up soon. Kolebu CEO. That and more are stories making the headlines on your favorite myjoyonline.com. I am Emefa. Apawu Living Word with Pastor Mensa Otabil is up next. Have a good afternoon.